The next morning, Eleanor woke to the sound of birds chirping, a sound she hadn't noticed in years. Her small room at the shelter felt different today, filled with a sense of hope. She stretched and prepared herself for the day ahead. Onabe had no idea what the future held, but for the first time in years, she was willing to dream. Meanwhile, Trump's team was abuzz. News outlets had picked up the story, and it was trending worldwide. Reporters wanted to know more about the woman. Trump had stopped to help and what this encounter meant for the nation. Trump, however, remained focused on the immediate goal, ensuring Eleanor had everything she needed to rebuild her life. Eleanor's story spread quickly, capturing hearts across the country. Veterans organizations reached out to offer assistance, and donations poured into shelters nationwide. People were inspired by Eleanor's resilience and Trump's unexpected act of kindness. It wasn't just a story of one man helping one woman. It was a story of a country rediscovering its humanity. A week later, Trump invited Eleanor to a press conference. She hesitated at first, overwhelmed by the attention. But when she arrived at the venue, dressed in new clothes and holding her head high, the room erupted in applause. Cameras flashed and reporters leaned forward eagerly. Trump took the podium. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Eleanor," he began. "She's a veteran, a mother, and an incredibly strong woman. Her story is a reminder that we must do better. For our veterans, for the homeless, for every American who's been forgotten." Eleanor stepped forward, her voice trembling but steady. "I'm just one person," she said, "but I know there are thousands like me. I hope my story shows that it's never too late to turn things around. And I hope it inspires others to lend a hand to those in need." After the conference, Eleanor's life began to change in ways she never imagined. A local university offered her a job in their administrative department, recognizing her organizational skills from her time in the military. Veterans groups invited her to speak at events, and her words resonated deeply with audiences. She became an advocate for homeless veterans, using her platform to push for policy changes and increased funding for shelters. Trump continued to stay involved, ensuring that Eleanor had the resources she needed. But his actions extended beyond just one person. Inspired by the impact of his encounter with Eleanor, he launched a new initiative aimed at combating veteran homelessness. The initiative provided funding for affordable housing, job training programs, and mental health services. Months later, Eleanor stood on the steps of the Capitol, invited to speak at the launch of the initiative. As she looked out at the crowd, she felt a surge of pride. Her journey from despair to hope was now a beacon for others. "I used to think I was invisible," she said, her voice carrying across the crowd. "But today I stand here as proof that no one is truly invisible. We all matter. And together, we can make sure no one is left behind." The audience erupted into applause, and as Eleanor stepped back, Trump approached her, extending a hand. "You've done more than inspire," he said. "You've made a difference." Over time, Eleanor's story became a symbol of resilience and the power of unexpected kindness. It reminded people that even the smallest gestures could spark significant change. And for Trump, it was a moment that highlighted the importance of leadership that listens and acts with compassion. In the years that followed, Eleanor continued to advocate for those in need. She helped establish programs for homeless veterans, ensuring they had access to housing, education, and mental health care. Her story was taught in schools, and she became a sought-after speaker, sharing her journey with audiences across the nation. As for Trump, the encounter with Eleanor marked a turning point. It was a moment that reshaped his approach to leadership, reminding him of the power of connection and empathy. His initiative to combat veteran homelessness became one of his administration's most celebrated achievements, leaving a lasting legacy of hope and action. In the end, Eleanor's story was about more than just her journey. It was about the ripples of change that one act of kindness could create. And it was a reminder to everyone that sometimes the most powerful stories begin with a simple, unexpected gesture. Months after Eleanor's story went viral, her influence only grew stronger. A project called Operation Homebound. The program aimed to connect homeless veterans with mentors who could help them navigate life's challenges. Eleanor became the face of the program, personally visiting shelters and speaking with veterans to understand their needs. The media's focus on Eleanor also sparked conversations about the broader issues facing homeless veterans. Her courage and authenticity struck a chord with people from all walks of life. Television shows, podcasts, and online platforms invited her to share her journey, amplifying the message that no one should be left behind. Meanwhile, Trump's initiative gained bipartisan support, something that hadn't been seen in years. Lawmakers worked together to allocate more resources for veterans' services, inspired by Eleanor's story and Trump's commitment. The initiative wasn't just about temporary fixes. It focused on creating sustainable change, from building affordable housing units to offering free mental health care for veterans in crisis. Eleanor's life was a whirlwind of activity. She balanced her new job at the university with her advocacy work and speaking engagements. Despite her busy schedule, she always made time to mentor others. She knew that her journey from the streets to the Capitol steps was not just her own, it belonged to every person who had ever felt invisible. One of the most touching moments came when Eleanor received a letter from a young girl named Lily. Lily's father was a veteran who had struggled with homelessness, but found hope after hearing Eleanor's story. In her letter, Lily wrote, "Thank you for helping my dad. Because of you, our family is together again." The letter moved Eleanor to tears and became a reminder of why she continued to fight for change. As the years went by, Eleanor's impact only deepened. She co-authored a book detailing her experiences, which became a bestseller and was adapted into a documentary. Schools began including her story in their curriculum, teaching students about resilience, empathy, and the importance of community. Trump, too, reflected on the encounter that had sparked so much change. In interviews, he often mentioned Eleanor as a defining moment of his presidency. "Sometimes it's the simplest acts of kindness that have the biggest impact," he said. "Eleanor reminded me, and the world, of what really matters." Eleanor's journey from a homeless veteran to a national advocate was nothing short of extraordinary. Her story proved that with a little help and a lot of determination, anyone could rise above their circumstances. It was a tale of hope, resilience, and the incredible power of human connection, a story that would inspire generations to come. In the years that followed, Eleanor's work blossomed into a movement. Operation Homebound became a nationwide success, connecting countless veterans with resources, mentorship, and a pathway to stability. Eleanor personally ensured that the program expanded into rural and underserved communities, where many veterans felt forgotten. She collaborated with local governments, businesses, and non-profit organizations to build a network of support that left no one behind. Eleanor's leadership style was a mix of humility and unwavering determination. She often credited her success to the people who had helped her along the way. "I'm just one piece of the puzzle," she often said. "Real change happens when we come together." Her speeches became legendary, not because they were filled with grandiose rhetoric, but because they came from the heart. "You might think you're too small to make a difference," she once told a crowd of college students. "But I'm here to tell you that even the smallest actions can ripple outward and change lives. Kindness is contagious. Courage is contagious. Never underestimate the power of showing up." Trump, too, remained a steadfast ally. He frequently invited Eleanor to events, using her story as an example of resilience and the transformative power of compassion. During a particularly moving ceremony at the White House, Trump presented Eleanor with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. "Eleanor has shown us that heroes come in all forms," he said. Her courage and dedication remind us of what it means to be truly American. The ceremony was attended by veterans, advocates, and even lawmakers from both sides of the aisle. It was a rare moment of unity, and Eleanor's story was at the center of it. She accepted the medal with grace, dedicating it to all the veterans who had inspired her along the way. "This isn't just for me," she said. "This is for every veteran who has ever felt forgotten. You are seen, you are valued, and we will not stop fighting for you." As Eleanor's influence grew, so did her impact. She spearheaded new legislation that improved access to health care and housing for veterans. She worked tirelessly to ensure that no one else would have to endure what she had. Her efforts led to a significant decrease in veteran homelessness, and her programs became a model for other countries to follow. Through it all, Eleanor remained grounded. She often returned to the shelter where her journey had begun, spending time with residents and reminding them that hope was always within reach. She became a mentor to countless individuals, sharing her wisdom and encouraging them to pursue their dreams. Eleanor's story became a nationwide inspiration, sparking change for homeless veterans and promoting a new era of advocacy and unity. Through her resilience and leadership, the nation witnessed the power of compassion and human connection. Programs like Operation Homebound transformed lives, reducing veteran homelessness and driving systemic change. Her speeches, initiatives, and collaborations with leaders like Trump emphasized kindness, courage, and community. Eleanor's journey from despair to becoming a symbol of hope continued to remind everyone that even the smallest gestures can have profound and lasting impact.